we are joined here with a special guest, Lee Caesar Jr., who is a repeat guest of the podcast, a friend of the pod, as we like to call it. And so, welcome, Lee.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so are we. Lee, if you haven't been listening to the podcast on a regular basis, was on an episode 166 where we talked about appraisals and went pretty in depth in that process. And we talked about possibly having you on again for a different version of the same topic. But that's not why you're here today. Today, we're talking about the annual conference, Stand Out, where you will be presenting.
Correct. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And so, before we get into a little teaser of what you'll be doing, tell the listeners a little about yourself in case they haven't heard the old episode.
So I'm a real estate appraiser. I've been an appraiser since 1987 full time. I'm currently the vice chairman of the real estate appraiser board. So I have both a regulatory background and an appraiser background. I've served on the real estate appraiser board for 16 years, and I've got 2 more years left in my sentence from the government.
The sentence.
Exactly. Yeah, and then we'll see where we go from there. But I'm also a instructor for the Uniform Standards of National Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practice. Um, so, uh, and I like to teach a lot of stuff to realtors. I do teach a lot of realtor stuff, and taught the GRI class this last year for OAR, and I do a lot of one-on-one stuff with just local offices and try to help realtors understand what appraisers do.
Nice. And so that's exactly right. Because in our episode 166, go back and listen to that on your favorite app. We talked about how realtors can work with their appraisers to negate any sort of misrepresentation or any problems that might arise after the appraisal where the realtor's like, wait, this didn't go as expected. And so that was a very interesting conversation. Again, go back and listen to that if you want. But with that wealth of knowledge, you're bringing that into our conference this year.
Yeah, so we decided that maybe a good way to reach a lot of realtors was to actually try to put something on at the conference, and so we came up with an idea, and we're going to be doing something called live valuation.
I'm
Uh,
excited about this. This is going to be cool.
I hope it's going to be great. I think it'll. I mean, so as an appraiser, I think it'll be very interesting because you'll actually get to see the side of what realtors. You'll get to see the side of what an appraiser does once they leave the house. Um, Most of the time, the realtors meet the appraiser at the house, and the appraiser walks away, and the realtor walks away, and you have no idea what kind of magic we could do.
Hmm.
So hopefully what we're going to be able to convey is some of what happens after we leave the house, and show you the fact side of what the appraisal process looks like.
That sounds fascinating.
It might be. I
It
hope.
might be.
I hope. So basically, what we hope to identify, be able to convey to the realtors that are in attendance is, things like how to identify comparable sales. Um, Realtors have an opinion of what a comparable sale is, and appraisers have an opinion of what a comparable sale is, and they're not necessarily always the same thing.
Mm,
So maybe if we can present to the realtors to understand exactly how an appraiser thinks about what is a comparable sale, that'll give them some insight so that when they're having that communication with the appraiser, life is better.
right. So, some of that perspective of what happens on the other side, so you know how to talk to the other side, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, communication is the key to all of this. And if you understand a little bit about how an appraiser is approaching a problem, an appraisal problem, then maybe you can communicate with them and explain to them where you're coming from. So we'll look at things like adjustments. How does an appraiser derive an adjustment? Things like managing the appraisal process. I know there's a big discussion that goes on right now about how long it takes to get an appraisal done,
Mm.
and why is that taking so long. So we'll talk about some of that a little bit. So hopefully just to give you guys a little bit of insight into what's happening on our side of the fence, and make it where you can communicate with appraisers more efficiently and hopefully have better outcomes.
Excellent. And that is extremely important to negate any problems that might arise post appraisal.
Yeah, so what we want to do is we want to try to load you with ammunition so you don't have an appraisal problem.
There you go. Best cure is preventative, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, if you can solve the problem before it's a problem, then everybody's in better condition.
Mhm. So you definitely won't want to miss this. Again, go on to our conference website, oarconference.com. We will be at the brand new Omni in Oklahoma City from September 12th to the 14th. And a great session with Lee and tons of other speakers. So get on the website, check it out. We've got a Sunday fun day. It's going to be fun. It's going to be educational. It's going to be enlightening. So head on over to oarconference.com and get your tickets today. Thanks for joining us, Lee.
Thank you for letting me come in and plug this a little bit. I'm excited about it.
Me too. I'm going to be sitting in that class.